Good morning, everybody. This is Don Martelli, COO of the Belfort Group, and welcome to the latest edition of the BG Insights Videocast. For those that don't know, Belfort Group is a digital marketing and communications agency located in Boston that works in higher education, professional services, and public affairs. And I have the lucky opportunity and the honor today to speak to three very talented, lovely, energetic, smart, creative young women that have interned with us or interning with us for quite some time, and some shorter than others. But our interns are the lifeblood of our agency. They do everything from account administration to pitching media to bringing new ideas to the table. And it's always good for me to hear what the quote unquote young people are doing these days. But also it gives me a chance to give back and also teach the things that I've learned to interns. But today is really about the things that you have all learned during your internship here. So Christy, Barbara, Giuliana, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Anytime. So Christy, since you spoke first, I'm going to go with you. This is a question I'd love to sort of hear your opinions on. We'll go down the line here. What are the, say, three things you've learned about PR and marketing since you've been interning with us at the Belfort Group?
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of more tactically, I would say two of the things that I learned was definitely more about digital marketing. That was something I never really had in a skill set, and nothing they really teach you in the classroom either. You kind of had to be hands-on with the accounts that you're on. So I was really interested in doing more of that. So getting really familiar with Facebook ads, Google ads, certifications, things like that was huge. I also learned a lot more about the PR and media ops side of things. In my background, I worked for 2 years as a grad assistant in the media office at Providence College, which fit very well with our higher ed practice area here. So almost in real time, I was able to see and apply the stuff that I was learning at BG to the in-house work that I was doing and seeing how that forwarded along the work at PC as well. So that thought leadership kind of content generation was huge for me. And then I would say the third that I learned was kind of broader, more strategic. To agency side is how nuanced every account is. When I first started at BG, I kind of thought there were two ends of the spectrum that accounts fell under. They were either going to be carbon copies of each other, where you do exactly the same process, or that every account was completely different. You threw out the playbook and you had to start from scratch for everything, which is not the case. It's always going to be a happy medium where you pull from different pieces of different accounts, either tailor or elaborate on those for your accounts. I really saw that with the brainstorms here that we have at BG too, just, everything from every account that someone was on can bring something to a new account. So I would say those are the big three for the industry that I learned.
That's great. How you've been interning with us for how long?
A little over a year now.
Got it, on and off. And so it's interesting because you've had enough time under your belt to see how we work. And you're right, there are things that we do that are sometimes similar, but oftentimes we are coming at every assignment fresh and customized, because that's kind of ingrained in our DNA. And obviously, Barbara, you're at a different part of your educational career and your path. You're a junior, correct?
Yes.
All right. So where do you go to school?
So I go to school at Elon University.
Awesome.
I'm a strategic communications major, and this was actually my first real experience in a real work environment.
Wow.
So it's been great.
So what are the things you've learned?
So I did a lot of work on the social media side. So I would say using social media definitely as a main platform to get a client's message across, or to get a project to promote a project, and to use the right language for different platforms, and strategically thinking which is the most effective way to draw in engagement.
Sure. It's a much different process, right? Because on your own channels, it's about you and the things you're experiencing, right? But now you're thinking about a client. So it's not about, what Barbara thinks this should be. It's really sort of the voice of the client. So I'm sure that was a learning curve for you.
Right. It definitely was. And that leads into my next point is using the client's voice. And that's something I learned, really understanding your client's vision, or understanding your goals and how to achieve them and how to reach that. And I didn't realize all of the planning and how much every little detail goes in to everything that you're working on. So from the design process to the writing process, and everyone on the team that's involved, to get just even one little post out. And I didn't think that it would require that much detail, time, effort. And that's been amazing to get to learn how to do that.
That's great. Great. Yeah, it is a process. And you're right. It's not just sort of whipping up posts and putting them online there. And we try to make sure that everything that we produce for our clients has purpose. What I loved about the sort of the eclecticness of the three of you here. You all have different backgrounds, and Giuliana, who joined us probably last in our internship program here, your background obviously touch a little bit of in-house client side, but you also have worked on the media side. So I'd love to get your opinion on your experience, but then how you've taken that here to BG and the things you've learned in your experience, Giuliana.
Awesome. So I have a background in communications and media, and I have worked with Boston Children's Hospital, American Public Television, as well as 7 News Boston. So I've done a little bit of, agency, small company, and then I went full force into news media, and I've transferred a lot of my skills into my short time here at BG. So it's been very exciting. I would say what I've learned primarily is that this line of work requires a client-focused mindset. You have to be able to adjust to the wants, needs, and desires of the company or the client that you're working with. Mm-hmm. It's actually a very selfless line of work. Yeah. And that leads into my next point of it's also ever-changing. You have to be able to adapt to, your client's needs that may change from day to day, week to week, month to month. And definitely expect the unexpected. And thirdly, I would say it's very important to stay up to date and do your research. Tech is changing every day. Media trends are changing every day. Don't fall complacent to, the traditional way of doing things. And I think the Belfort Group does a fantastic job of staying modernized.
That's great. We appreciate that. You're right. I mean, we are in a very fluid business. Our business is very fluid, and the clients we work with, their business is also fluid. Higher education, real estate, professional services. It's why we decide to work in these industries, because they are being disrupted, and our job is to come in and trying to bring clarity to all that, obviously, and help them succeed. But my next question for the three of you, and I guess I'll pick on Barbara next. What are the things you've learned about yourself, either professionally or personally, about your work here at BG? Because we talked a lot now about the tactics and how to do specific things, but I know that I've always learned more things about myself as I've gotten to different campaigns that have challenged me professionally and personally. But what are one or two things you might have learned about yourself as you experience the internship here at the Belfort Group?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think one thing that I've definitely learned about myself is to take risks. And I know that sounds very basic, but I really didn't have much experience coming to here. So I didn't really know how to do some of these tasks that I was put on. And I found myself getting a little bit more comfortable and being able to expand and add my own kind of detail into everything that I worked on, and being able to take on tasks or do things that is kind of beyond my skill set, because it's all a learning opportunity as well. So I think kind of just jumping out of my comfort zone as well. And I also think that Belfort Group is a very collaborative environment. And I realized how important teamwork is at this agency. So I guess just being a part of a team and being able to contribute to anything and getting involved in anything that I can.
And it's a good point. Good point. I mean, we are usually when we are together, we'd be doing this in the conference room, the four of us, but we are, despite the challenge of COVID-19, we are using technology to continue to be collaborative. I think to your point, Barbara, our interns aren't folks that just manage, administrative tasks. You folks have been working on client work, our client facing, interacting with clients, providing insights, pitching media, because we need to give you that experience. You want that experience. I mean, the classroom stuff is fantastic, but being in the middle of the BG madness really gives you kind of that hands-on experience. So when you go back to class and your professor's talking about, let's talk about, how to manage social media channels for clients these days, you're going to go, okay, this is going to be a piece of cake. So just, let me tell you all about it. Right. Exactly. So that hands-on experience is invaluable. Obviously, Giuliana, you have previously hands-on experience, but this was something new for you in terms of working for an agency. So from your perspective, Giuliana, what's the thing you've learned about yourself professionally through this internship?
So this internship has offered me a very, I would say, closeness with the client, but also team members. It's been fantastic. I've learned so many new time management skills. Things can be very fast-paced, again, changing from day to day. But also I've learned that it's okay to ask questions, especially, even if you have prior experience, if it's an internship or a job, it's okay to reach out to a team member or a supervisor and just, not be worried about asking questions.
Sure. Yeah, it's being inquisitive in this position, in this job, in this industry is super important. And it's one of the things that I recall this very clearly when we were at our old office on Oliver Street, and Christy was just a new intern. Christy always had good questions. Why are we doing this? What's the strategy here? And more than just, yes, Don, I'll take this task. But Christy's always been one to ask those kind of key questions. So Giuliana, your point about kind of being inquisitive is something we are going to do in this. And if you continue to do that in your profession, I think you'll go far, because that's what we do. We ask questions and provide solutions to our clients' challenges. And again, I remember, Christy, I would love to hear your opinion on this too. But I remember you kind of be very thoughtful in asking through the assignments you were getting to understand how it fit into the larger grand scheme of things. Now you've been here with us for a year and change. You've got more experience, more client interaction. What are the things that you think you've learned about yourself professionally throughout this journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like you said, Don, that cornerstone of just like, to be able to do your best work here, you kind of have to understand the full picture, because a lot of times once the task gets down to the intern level, you don't really see the higher level decisions that made it. So to understand those decisions makes you do work a lot better.
Sure.
And sort of, I think what I learned about myself is that I think when I first started, I was a little hesitant to either ask questions or even give ideas, because I thought, well, if an intern's thinking this, someone else must have already thought about it, which I realize is not always the case. And BG is so collaborative that you kind of realize that there are no bad ideas. The only bad way to go about an idea is to not say it, because that's where good ideas go to die. And so I really learned about myself that, like, the ideas that I have, and everyone here, at the intern level to, the VP CEO level, are good ideas. And so they're worth saying and they're worth putting out there, because, the work people can do is say, I don't know if that would fit here. What if we try this instead? So I think I learned about myself that I can be, less afraid to speak up in those kinds of scenarios.
That's good. I mean, really, really good advice. I mean, you're right. I always say this, the only bad ideas that are on the table are mine. But ultimately, when we do our job right, an idea may start with me, and you add to it, and then your Barbara adds to it, and Giuliana adds to it. And by the time it gets to the client, you have no idea whose idea it was. But as long as the client's happy and it's a good strategy and it works and successful, that's all that really matters. And I think that is ingrained in everybody that has worked for us, that is now working for us, that will work for us in the future. And it's a really core attribute of who we are as an agency. It's very collaborative, and nobody's looking for credit. If our clients are succeeding, they're succeeding. And the last question, and I'll probably start with Giuliana on this one, is kind of around sort of, you've all been successful at this internship, and some in longer periods, some shorter periods, and you all have done a fantastic job. But think about the next crop of interns, 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line. What advice would you give them coming into the job? Because it's something that we try to describe, but you have to experience to really understand what it's all about. So I know, Giuliana, you've had a short run here, but you quickly grasp onto it. So I'd love to get your opinion and your advice that you would give to future interns about the position.
Of course. So what I would say is, don't be complacent, make time, and use your free time as well to continue to season your skills. Things are going to come in waves. You're going to have moments of free time, moments where, you're in between projects. Make that time to, research, ask questions, collaborate with team members, just to chat, see how their journey was to BG, what did they do before, and just, always be on the lookout to better yourself.
Good advice. How about you, Barbara?
I would definitely say be creative and stay open-minded, and try to get involved on as many projects as you possibly can, and always voice your opinion, because I like to have the mindset that no idea is a bad idea. Mm-hmm. So even if your idea might not be completely relevant to what is going on, your team can build off of that, mm-hmm. and maybe come up with something else. And everything kind of just bounces off each other.
Good advice. And how about you, Christy?
So yeah, it's very similar to what Giuliana and Barbara said. I have found that the best advice anyone could have given to me, or that I could give to others, is to always ask for more, be that work especially, or opportunities. I was always very hesitant to kind of ask for more opportunities, until I realized that the worst anyone can do is say no. And then your life stays exactly the same. Your life is no worse than it was before. But I found, especially at BG, that people always want to help you. They always want to teach you what they know, and they're always willing to put you on accounts that you're interested in. So always asking for more shows initiative. It gives you a better, well-rounded picture of how the agency functions and just makes you an all-around better candidate for the accounts that you're on.
Great. Well, the three of you are wise beyond your years. Cannot thank you enough for your hard work, your support, and everything you've done for the agency. I know, today, Barbara and Giuliana, is your last day of your internship. Let's break out the Kleenex. But I do appreciate your hard work. And Christy, you've been just a solid foundational player for us since you joined a year ago. So can't thank you three enough for sharing your insights today. I've learned a couple things, and sometimes you forget. I'm a little, gray behind the gray in the beard here, so I forget what it's like to be an intern. But you all have done a fantastic job, and I can't thank you enough for the hard work and your dedication to the job here at BG.
Thanks so much, Don.
All right,
Thank
so
you so
folks,
much, Don.
you're welcome. So folks that are interested in internships, please feel free to visit our website at thebelfortgroup.com. We are at Belfort Group on the socials, Twitter, Facebook, et al. In the meantime, this is Don Martelli, CEO of the Belfort Group. Thank you for, again, joining us on the BG Insights Videocast.